Thank you all for being here today as we address the ongoing issues with Oahu Community Correctional Center, also known as OCCC. As a quick summary of what we intend to speak on, OCCC has a major overcrowding issue. It also is a considerably old prison. The prison was built in the early 20th century, and while it was remodeled in the 80s, it still is an increasingly old building. This issue, along with the overcrowding issue, has led to some serious safety issues for those who work there and also those who are incarcerated. This, combined with our staffing shortage, is leading to an ineffective prison that is costing taxpayers their precious hard-earned money.
Now that we have the topic for today addressed, we will bring in the one and only Mr. Jesus Romero, an expert criminologist well-versed in studying how crime should be brought to attention in a recent news report, and a criminal expert in a trial that was recently done over down there. Both of these events have shed light on his reputation, marking him as the one and only criminologist expert of the century. Now, Mr. Romero, please ensure that you have everything you need, and when you're ready, the floor is yours.
Certainly. The overcrowding issue also serves as a major issue with OCCC, with inmates sometimes having 3 to 4 people a cell when it was originally designed for 2. For starters, the facility was originally designed for 628 inmates and an operational capacity of 950 beds. Currently, the population of OCCC as of April 21st, 2025 is roughly 917 inmates, according to the Hawaii Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation weekly reports. Additionally, as of January 2025, 21% of OCCC's population were there because of missing appointments with their probation officers, or they were awaiting trial rather than serving a prison sentence, which aren't really violent crimes requiring incarceration.
So how would we fix this, Mr. Romero? There's been word that the state is to expand the facility and to incorporate more beds and hold more inmates. But as we know, that nothing comes with a small price. This would potentially cost us millions of dollars, not to mention that a prison with empty rooms would incentivize more people to be incarcerated to justify the expense.
I bring up the idea of not building a new prison, but to decrease the pre-trial population by implementing bail reform as released in the Hawaii-based Reimagining Public Safety Coalition in their new analysis by the Prison Policy Initiative. Many inmates are there because they were unable to pay for bail and haven't actually been convicted of a crime, rather than posing some kind of danger to society or being at risk of fleeing. This is confirmed by the Prison Policy Initiative 2024 analysis, which notes that the state of Hawaii and OCCC in particular disproportionately incarcerates low-income individuals pre-trial, and is further backed up by the American Civil Liberties Union, which found that approximately 60% of Hawaii's jail population is held pre-trial, often due to the inability to afford bail.
Isn't that a bit risky, Mr. Romero? Not keeping people in jail? What if these inmates have criminal tendencies and we just didn't see it? Criminals deserve to be punished, and justice needs to be served.
Yes, that is true. This ties into the 4 goals being incarceration, rehabilitation, retribution, and deterrence. While harsher punishments are perceived as a good form of deterrence and retribution, recidivism rates actually conflict with these ideas. In fact, some studies show that after 5 years of being released, 75% of released inmates were rearrested. The same goes for deterrence, with longer sentences having little to no effect on naturally deterring crime. Most research shows that the chance of being caught has a lot more impact on deterring crime over the actual punishment. And some crimes do not need prison time to ensure justice and to make sure that our community is safe. While it may be necessary to imprison people who committed murder and violent crimes to protect the community, other crimes like missing a court date cause no harm to others physically and could be punished differently.
Well, we still need to fix our prison issues, and like you said, some crimes still need imprisonment.
Simon, what if we looked into something along the lines of the prisons in Norway? They seem to be more humane, and their crime rates are extremely low, along with their recidivism rates.
And what would we do if these criminals deserved it, huh? Let's say the parents of a victim's killer was put into one of these prisons, and they were treated like a normal being. How would that feel?
Well, the Norway prisons focus a lot on rehabilitation and humane treatment for their prisoners. We tend to look at criminals with one lens, and that is that they are violent, whether it be a small crime or a major crime. They have restructured themselves to go along with the principle of normality, which in simple terms means that they focus on humanity and reintegration to society. While we could model our prisons after them, it still would not help the problems with re-entry and criminal records that make it hard for former inmates to find a job or survive once being released. So while a more humane approach would help the prisoners and maybe help recidivism rates, there's more to the issue. Overall, it would be beneficial to implement the system, but more changes would be needed to be made to go alongside it.
So what do you argue should be done on top of making prisons more humane to fix the problem with OCCC and our penal system, especially the overcrowding issue?
I would argue that fines as well as civil service are a great way to deter crime and also to lower prison populations. I think that nonviolent crimes punished with fines and civil service would help with the issues of OCCC.
Propose we use fines to ensure it is equal across the border.
I think that fines should be based around income. Similar to tax brackets, fine brackets could make the fines equal in punishment across the board.
What would you suggest, Mr. Romero, for those souls who are less able to pay even the lowest of the fines?
Civil service is a good response to those who are unable to pay fines. Doing community service until the value of the fine be paid off would also work in those cases. Instead of being put in jail, these people could positively impact their community rather than having them just sit in jail, thus reducing the overcrowding issue as well.
I see your intention, but some may say that civil service can be a burdensome, especially for people with disabilities, caregiving responsibilities, or multiple jobs. Isn't that just another kind of punishment that doesn't consider individual circumstance?
That is a very valid concern, but civil service programs can and should be designed with flexibility. Tasks can be matched to physical ability and availability, like administrative work for those that can do physical labor. The point isn't to punish but restore balance and responsibility without resorting to incarceration. In addition, community service builds ties and accountability. It's restorative rather than punitive, and if paired with income-based fines, we're not only creating fairness, we're also preserving human dignity. At this point, we're not just talking about excusing crime, but rethinking how we respond to it in a way that doesn't feed into mass incarceration, so we can reserve jail for serious violent offenses and not for those who stole a sandwich or missed a court date because they couldn't afford bail.
Thank you, Jesus. I believe that is all the questions we have for you today.
Thank you, Mr. Romero, for your help.
So in conclusion, to fix the overcrowding issue in the aging OCCC facility, we suggest that implementing fines in place of jail time for nonviolent crimes. As Jesus stated, the lackluster results of prison sentences on deterrence, it seems more responsible to revert to other forms of punishment, like fines. Thank you. That concludes our meeting for today.